Apologize. Sometimes it's a little longer than expected. All right, this is a board meeting of the Altoona Area School Board. The time is 7:43. Please stand for a moment of silence, followed by pledge of allegiance.
Mrs. Green. Here. Mr. Brennan.
Here.
Mr. Stegler.
Here.
Mr. Francis.
Here.
Mr. Hippo.
Here.
Mr. Hoover.
Here.
Mrs. Irwin Adams. Here. Mr. Johnston.
Here.
Mr. Cruz.
Here. All right, just real quick before we begin, I'll just remind everybody to please use your mics so that everybody in the audience can hear. And we'll move on to the announcement of executive session, which we held for real estate purposes, and I think there was personnel, real estate, and that was it. So, go ahead, Ms. Morgan.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Dr. Prietel and Mr. Brennan to join us here at the microphone. This evening we have several special presentations that we want to acknowledge. And we're going to start with our commended students. About 34,000 commended students throughout the nation are being recognized for their exceptional academic promise. Commended students placed among the top 50,000 scores of more than 1.6 million students who entered the 2019 competition by taking the 2017 preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship qualifying test. We're very honored this evening to introduce 4 Altoona area high school students who have earned this recognition. Each of these students demonstrates high academic achievement, and we want to take the time to congratulate them on their successes. Each of our kids will receive a framed letter of commendation from the National Merit Scholarship Program and a certificate of achievement from the new school board and the administration. And after we present this evening, I'm going to ask the students with Dr. Prietel and Mr. Brennan, as well as our high school principal, Mr. Andrew Neely, to stand up front for a quick photo. So first, I'm going to invite Marissa Abbott. Reagan Baker. Devin Freet. And last but not least, Rachel Creer. All these kids are exceptional students here at the high school, very involved in extracurricular activities, and we're very proud of them, so congratulations again. And I'm going to have you stand up here real quick in the front for a photo.
Just use your frame. Just bring those up. Mr. Casey, can we just have you two step aside a minute while we get them? Okay, we'll put the kids in the center.
Everybody get some photos? Our next presentation has to, our Service to Education Awards winners. Since 1984, the Altoona Area School District has used American Education Week to recognize citizens in our community who have positively impacted the educational process in our schools. After this evening's presentation, 128 individuals and/or organizations will have received the Service to Education Award. Each will receive a plaque, a small token of our appreciation, which reads, "By word and deed, your presence has enriched the lives of students and served as an example for all." This year, we want to recognize 3 area organizations that, through their partnerships, strengthen us not only as a school, but also as a community. So we're going to begin with the Altoona Public Library. We have Jennifer Nisley here, the Executive Director, if you want to come forward. And with her, we have Deb Leverfinger. And if you want to stand up, Deb, there you are. And Dutch Brennan also is a board member of our representation on the Altoona Public Library Board. The vision of the library as a leader in our community is to be instrumental in engaging and connecting generations through responsive programming, innovative partnerships, and progressive services. For those who are regular board member attendees, we regularly hear from Jennifer Nisley about the programs the library has implemented over the years to continue their mission. They partner with Penn Lincoln Elementary to provide students a variety of program opportunities. They have developed after-school programming to include STEM activities for students. They've worked with Altoona Area High School Alumni Association to provide us with a space for the Altoona Area High School Alumni Museum, and have kept their programming and services in line with modern-day technology. We're fortunate to have the library as part of our campus area and appreciate their outreach and investment in our young people. So thank you. Next, we want to recognize Central Blair Recreation Commission, and we have the Executive Director, Mike Crawford, here this evening with us. The Central Blair Recreation Commission is committed to providing quality recreation programs to the citizens of Central Blair County. The CBRC board is comprised of representatives from Altoona, the Altoona Area School District, and the Logan Township. We all understand the importance of physical activity in the development in our youth. CBRC provides exposure to a wide variety of sports activities through their instructional sports programming. Together, we have the opportunity to partner with CBRC in our annual Tune-Up, helping to maintain our community parks. Tonight, we wanted to take this opportunity to recognize the important role CBRC plays in creating a positive and healthy culture in the Altoona area. So thank you. And finally, the Jaffa Shrine. And with us tonight, we have the potentate, Robert Baranek. The The Jaffa Shrine Center opened September 25th, 1930, and was the largest convention center in Blair County until the opening of the Blair County Convention Center. And I learned this evening from Mr. Ulslegum, who's here, that there's only 4 buildings or locations in the nation, and we're Altoona is proud to have one. The fraternity is based on fun, fellowship, and Masonic principles of brotherly love, relief, and truth. The Jaffa Shrine has been and continues to play an important role in our community. Their commitment to our community is evidenced by their volunteerism and dedication to lend a helping hand. The Jaffa Shrine has extended that sense of community to the school district. Over the years, they have been a host site to Altoona commencements and athletic events. They are a partner in our Safe Schools emergency planning, and most recently have partnered with us providing their parking areas for marching band practices during football season and participating in the football kickoff parade where several units joined in. Again, it's organizations such as the Jaffa Shrine that strengthen our community, and we're proud to be a partner with them. So thank you. So if I can have the 3 representatives with Mr. Brennan and Dr. Prietal again for a photo op. And Deb, if you want to join them, you're welcome.
Oh, wait, no, we can wait. Mr. Brennan and Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I know.
All right, with that, we'll go ahead and move on to hearing from citizens. Citizens have 5 minutes to speak. Make sure you please state your full name, your address, and you can speak on any of the topics we're discussing. So if somebody'd like to speak, feel free. Ms. Nisley.
Good evening, Jennifer Nisley, representing the Altoona Area Public Library. I want to thank you all for the recognition tonight. That really means a lot. I said to Paula when I opened that letter, I almost cried. It's very, it's a great honor, so thank you. Wanted to give you a reminder that we have our next Around the World program coming up on November 19th. And playground hijinks are coming to do a presentation on November 15th. That's going to be a lot of fun, singing music and movement with the little ones. And also I want to announce that the Pennsylvania Library Association has awarded us 2 honorable mentions for best practices. One for our Full Steam Ahead after school program, and one for our Storybook Ball program that we did in the spring with the preschool kids. I invite you all to come into the library for a tour. If you haven't been there yet, I'd like to show you around, and if you have any questions, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Brennan, members of the school board. My name's David Wolfslein. I'm from the Juniata area of Altoona, and I'm here to address you about some of the issues that you've had that I've noticed in the paper and in the media. And notice that one of your concerns is that you don't have administrative office area. The next one is that you don't, elementary school issues, that you're not going to have room in the future for elementary schools, for space within the elementary schools. The other one is there are a lot of people that really have stepped forward and really didn't want the building, this building removed, and they didn't really want the other building built. But we're already in the process, obviously, we have to get into the new school building, et cetera. I have some thoughts and some some ideas for you to conserve finances and to move forward with your building construction and potentially have space, for instance, within the elementary schools and consolidate a lot of your resources here within this building. And my thought is to save the current building, the A building we're in right now, and close the tax office building and put that on the first floor here. Bring in the Kimmel school students and put them on the second floor and put the police department up there or in that area. And then put all the administrative offices on the third floor of this building. And then turn the basement into the storage area that you have down here located on 6th Avenue and make that in the basement of this building. We consolidate a lot of your resources into one building that would cut a lot of costs and problems, plus would bring in safety for all of the staff for the Altoona School District. Currently, I can walk into the Altoona tax office and there's no police officer there. This would put a police officer protecting all of the Altoona School District employees, as well as consolidating problems that we'd have to communicate across the community. You would have to transfer things with vehicles, etc. One of the other problems that I've been brought up to me is you would lose the football field by keeping this building. Well, you have an auditorium that is much more, to me, much more important than a football field when you already have several athletic fields already in use. The Altoona area has 2 currently, and you also have the third one that you don't utilize, which is over Keith. You can renovate Keith football field, utilizing the Keith football field for a period of time, to which, while for a few years, 10 years or so, and then eventually, whenever you have recovered some of this money that we're expending right now, and we're getting to a better financial spot, is turn the parking lot in the lower area by the junior high school into a football field, and make that an athletic field, and put up a parking garage or 2 in the back, and then behind the B building, up on the back side for the staff. They would cut costs because then reduce the number of plowing parking lots that you have, and slips and falls, et cetera, because you're under a parking garage now. And you put a roof over that parking garage, that reduces wear and tear on that structure. What I'm after is to do everything and make it cost effective. And you're closing buildings down now that you don't have to pay maintenance on, that you don't have to do long-term care on, to remove snow around, and worry about, parking for all those employees. You would generate space in the elementary school down here at Kimmel, because you would be closing that as the school that it's currently used for. If you wanted to, you could renovate that building, which would alleviate the elementary school overflow, because now you could take students from that area and put them into that, which would open up spaces in the classroom for the elementary students, and you're only renovating one building. And once again, your staff is under police protection. With things getting today the way they are getting to be, I would have never thought that Pittsburgh would have had an attack. And we have to be diligent in our protection of our employees, and the school, as we're well aware, are always a target. So this is some of the thoughts moving forward that you need to be looking at, and I appreciate the school board listening to this. But you can save a lot of money and get everything accomplished. And really all you're doing is saving this building and a very, very important area of the school, the auditorium. And the auditorium is very large, and from what I gathered, the new auditorium is only going to be half the size and capacity. So the new auditorium, no, that's not factual?
You're correct, right? That's not.
Yeah, it's half the space.
No, it's actually more.
It's actually more space, but still
more
the acoustic.
seating.
But what I've had explained to me is the auditorium, and this has excellent acoustics, and it's really, it would be utilized a great deal, even if just keeping it. Because we used to have 3 auditoriums in the Altoona School District, and all 3 were utilized. We had Roosevelt, we had Keith, and we had the Altoona High School. So you would still have room for another auditorium to be, for anybody that had a show or a play or anything like that. So, but I thank you for your time, and I hope you consider some of this moving forward, that it's never too late to save this building. As long as it's not being torn down, you can still consider saving it and renovating it and utilizing it and putting everybody under one roof, which cut costs.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, we'll move on to board reports now. Superintendent.
At this point in time, I have to report this.
I'm also, in the interest of time, going to skip my president's report, but I will say one thing. I have this year because we have big teacher nights at McDonald's, and so far there's been at least a couple of them. So if you see a McDonald's that's having a teacher night, that helps generate revenue for their schools. So I encourage you to go to it. Athletic Council.
Yeah. Athletic Council meeting is 6:30 this Thursday in this room.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. President. Mr. Kimmel, if I can just take in on this for a second. I was at the playoff games at Mansion on Friday and Saturday night. That painting on that track just highlights that stadium. So, Ms. Sue Franks, thanks for pushing the buttons on that. The price is right. You know, a lot of people saying, oh, my set, well, just like turned on a big light bulb out there. So, thanks again.
Thanks. Central Blair Park and Rec.
And that meeting is Thursday at 4:30. So the next meeting will have 2 meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Hippo. Education.
In the interest of saving time, I just want to point out that we have one important event taking place on Friday. Board members have a flyer at their seats, but it's the Girls STEM Day that's taking place in the elementary schools.
Facilities. Mr. Segler.
In the interest of saving time, I'll also try to make mine short. The next meeting is on the 13th of December at 6. This last meeting, we finally got some of the water meters changed in some of the buildings, which is going to save us a pile of money. The Juniata Elementary parking lot's now paved. The tennis courts are well under construction. They got paved. The running track, like Ron was saying, have gotten painted. And that's all I got to say.
Just an update on the tennis courts. They're finishing the fencing, and they'll have, everything will be completed on the tennis courts except for the final surface, which will be done in the spring. And they plan to have all that completed prior to Thanksgiving.
That's good to hear. IU8.
All right, I'm going to take IU8 and Outreach at once. IU8, we don't meet until December. They canceled their meeting this month. Outreach, still moving forward with my plans to meet with the students, and that's it.
Thank you. ESPN.
Yes, I had some reports from PSBA, but I chose this instead. It's in the paper yesterday. Schools to receive $25,000 in grants. Representative Judy Ward, Republican of Blair, is giving schools in the region $25,000 to be spent as they see fit on security. And I think that's a great idea. Mr. Pfeffer, that's great she's doing that for us. So a big thank you to Ms. Judy Ward. That's all I have.
Policy, Mr. Johnston.
We had a policy meeting on Monday. It was well attended, and there will be no policy meeting for the month of December. Thank you.
Public Library, we heard from Mrs. Misley, and move on to technology, Mr. Hippo.
Only briefly, I do want to, I know Paul has announced this already publicly, but to reinforce publicly that through the efforts of our technology department and the leadership of Dutch, the latest laptop sale is taking place this Friday, November 16th at 9:30. I believe that's at the auditorium. There will be 150 laptops sold on a first-come, first-served basis. They are reconditioned Dell Latitudes with a Windows 7 64-bit professional operating system, 4 gig of RAM, and price is $30 per person, $30 per computer, one per person. And I think there's going to be a ticketing process used to help control any crowds that may show up or any issues we've had in the past. But again, that's this Friday morning at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to our student representative.
Good evening, everyone. Since I last reported, the fall sports seasons have come to an end. Arthur Miller's The Crucible was put on by our drama club, and Bandorama occurred. And the AAHS jazz band traveled to a few nursing homes on their holiday tour happening all November and December. Last Monday, the AAHS Scholastic Quiz Bowl team was awarded second place among all teams from Blair and Bedford counties. Marissa Abbott additionally won the individual award for second place for most questions answered correctly. Some members of this team and members of the Junior Academy of Science Club will compete in a similar competition this coming Tuesday entitled Science Bowl. Last Tuesday, the band Attaboy held a concert/assembly for all of the AAHS student body in which popular songs as well as originals were performed. Students and teachers participated in the dance-off, and most importantly, a message about making the right choices for your future and treating everyone with respect was delivered. That night, they held a full concert, and our students received free admission. Additionally, last week, physical education teachers attended a wellness conference, and the AAHS student council officers, including myself, attended a state leadership conference. Yesterday, the staff and students of our school district had a day off school in honor of Veterans Day. Today, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., the counseling department held a FAFSA workshop for senior parents who are in need of help applying for financial aid. This was a fantastic resource that helped many students on their journey beyond AAHS. Last week, various clubs at AAHS raised money by way of an election with cash. The winner of the election had to dress up for the day as a pilgrim. The three grade level principals competed against each other to see who could raise the most money. And as it turns out, Principal Buffalini won, and so he had to dress up as a pilgrim. All of the proceeds went towards buying turkeys for local families. 33 turkeys were bought in all to help 33 different families. The National Art Honor Society induction ceremony will be held tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. in B229. This Friday, the Neil Armstrong Planetarium will be holding a sky show entitled Galileo, Power of the Telescope. So if you're interested in that, the show begins at 6 p.m. in our planetarium, as I said. And the admission is $4 for adults and $3 for students. On November 19th and 20th, AAHS will be hosting the annual county chorus event, in which the top singers from every public school chorus in the county will come and train with the best teachers and ultimately perform a concert. The concert will be held at 7 p.m. on November 20th in the auditorium. Beginning November 20th, there will be a school-wide canned food benefiting its own students who need help during this holiday season. All are encouraged to donate to the student store through December 14th. Thanksgiving break begins Thursday, November 22nd, which is Thanksgiving, and it ends Monday, November 26th. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. So did we get pictures of Principal Buffalini dressed as a pilgrim?
It's actually happening the day before grade.
Okay.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
So those will be all over.
Oh, they'll be,
Okay.
all over.
We did a session today.
Yeah,
where we delivered the turkeys to St. Vincent de Paul, and we did get a picture of Dave in his pilgrim hat,
Just a hat
but
though.
it's not the full garb.
Yeah.
That will be next week.
Let him know we appreciate him being a good sport.
He's been great.
Exactly. He was fantastic.
All right, so we'll move on to the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve all of the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Thank you, Mr. Hippo. Comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consent agenda items. Item A was the payment. Oh, actually, consent agenda. Can I please have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Hippo.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Mice?
I have a couple of questions. Check to Blair Companies, 106144, 17th Street sign repair. Is that not the sign we're replacing?
Yes. Yes, it is.
When's it being replaced? When do we need to be repairing it?
I am not exactly sure, but, go ahead.
The installation is scheduled for the week of Thanksgiving of the new sign, and these repairs were for about a month and a half ago.
We couldn't have just let it go. I mean, that's $714 when it's gonna be replaced anyway. Cell phones, I see that we're paying for cell phones on here. How many cell phones do we have that we're paying for employees to carry? I think there's one for like $160.04.
Well, I have a cell phone that's district owned. I'm not sure exactly how many, I can get that for you.
I think we ought to look at that, because I think everyone has their own cell phone. I don't know that we should be providing them.
For elect, that comes out of the grant, and there are 4 case managers. They used to use their personal cell phones, but their privacy was invaded when the students texted them or called them at all hours of the night on their personal cell phones. So, and correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're correct.
They can turn their district phones off at night and not be accessible 24/7, and it does, the grant does allow it and does pay for those 4 phones.
Okay, but beyond those phones, we have people that have cell phones that could be using their own cell phone, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We paid vital drug testing services for drug tests. I thought we were using Health Force.
I'll have to check it.
Mr. Ricky, this is Paul Wilkie this evening, but I do believe they're one and the same. But I will verify that and get back to you. Health Force is where we take the students for the
Right.
service, but I think Vital is, I believe it's one and the same. Let me verify that for you.
I would be surprised if they are, because I use Health Force for drug tests, and nothing comes from Vital. It all comes from Health Force.
So reach out to Mr. Ricky and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Yes, I think, Ms. Spring, you have any more?
I have one more
I'm sorry.
here.
Go ahead.
Putting lights and sirens on an Altoona School District police vehicle for $4,000. Do we need them? Why do we need lights and sirens?
Well, for emergency response, if you're gonna have a police department, you have to have, under the law, emergency vehicle lighting to operate.
Have we always had lights and sirens?
Yes. Police cars, yes.
Okay, why are we buying new ones then? Why don't we just transfer it from one to the other?
Well, to be honest with you, the car is 2 years old, and when the old predecessor, my boss, did not have them equipped with lights, we had to get them up to date to fall under MOPEC standards.
Okay, I'm done.
Good, Mr. Johnston?
I'd like to abstain on page 2, check number 105920. And, it's relative, and for services, I'd like to say, Ms. Foreman, I think you just wrote you out a check for $1,000 for your fund.
He is a teacher grant partner with the Altoona
For
School
the
District
last 19
Foundation.
years, he's been giving you $1,000, so I'm giving back to the school. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I have.
I just have one question. Can someone tell me who McAndrews Law Office is?
What check?
Check 106086.
That was a student,
Wasn't that the settlement?
yes.
That was the settlement for special education. We were approved last month.
Anyone else? All right, financial reports, item D. A, Blair Therapy. Item D, merit fee agreement. Item E, Amtran and SBA drivers. Item F, MAC grant. Item G, contracted services. Item H, alternative added agreement with Conemaugh Valley School District. Item I, agreement for use of LTED K9. Item J, space balloon launch grant. Item K, MOU between GACCC and Adult Ed. Item L, contractual service agreement for Adult Ed. Item M, repository bids. Item N, elementary field trips. Item O, first reading 30-day review. Item P, AASD board policies, final reading. Item Q, field experience and student teaching placement contract with St. Francis University. Item R, partnership between ELECT and PSU. Item S, Conrad Siegel agreement.
Yeah, I had a question about that.
Alright.
I just am not quite sure what it is. I looked it up and it's something for post-employment, but.
For our financial statements, we have to use an actuary to determine the post-employment benefits for our financial statements. We formerly used Willis Services, and their fees were higher. We went out and asked for other quotes 2 years ago, and Conrad Siegel was cheaper than Willis, and they've actually been really great to work with.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask a little. So like what all do they cover whenever they do those services?
They estimate the cost of hospitalization for retirees based on, we have to provide all of our payroll information, ages, we provide them a census, and they actuarially determine what our liability, what our long-term liability would be to cover the hospitalization and other costs until they're 65.
Okay, thank you so much. Item T, secondary education. Item U, volunteers. Item V, food donation team shelter. Item W, affiliation agreement with California University of Pennsylvania. Okay, so.
I just ask a quick question on that affiliation agreement. Not necessarily that one, but we have these for a number of colleges that are, that we receive or work with for student teachers. Is there a way we can just be notified if there's anything in these that are unusual or different? I've tried to read them all.
They're all
basically pretty much the same. But if something stands out, somehow, if you can bring our attention to that, because I'm trying to figure out why this isn't completely standardized and we don't have sort of one agreement and get it all executed at once. And I realize different kids request different things, and we do these on a one-off basis. Well, as we're reading these, it should be nice to know if somebody's coming in with a really unusual one, that, hey, something stands out. I'm assuming most of them are, I've read every one that we've done, and it's just a little.
Yeah, they're basically the same, and we have a lot of teachers that, honestly, a lot of these that you're getting right now are current teachers who are working on master's programs, and we need that affiliation agreement so that they can be supervised by their principal or so on, and have a mentor, so that they can use their experience that they're having here. But basically, they're all the same, and everything that we have, we do send for review from the solicitor.
Okay, so for the consent agenda, all those in favor say aye.
I just have
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just have a question just for information. The food that we're giving to the teen shelter, what happened to that food before? Was that just thrown away?
Yes.
Well, that's a good idea. Someone will get use out of it then. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, all of those on the consent agenda in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, there's nothing under old business, so we'll move on to new business, personnel. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Second. Thank you, Mr. Hippo. Comments or questions? Okay.
Under letter G, $7 an hour increase, is that the normal?
Under G,
Yeah, let me find one.
that's,
Yeah, the very first one.
right, he's shifting from the sub-rate to actually a union position.
Okay, so that's normal.
That's normal.
And the internet media service advisor, that's the one that's retired and we're replacing?
Yes. Yeah.
And,
Not a new position.
and both baseball coaches are gonna make $2,200 a piece? That's the starting salary?
I called and asked about that today. So they're gonna have like two teams, like a maroon and a white, like they do for the other ones. Because I wanted to know who was the head coach, who was the assistant, and why they were making the same salary. So apparently we approved it for $4,500. So we're actually under budget, and we'll have two head coaches, and then the assistant coaches are going to be volunteer, from what I understand.
I have no more, it looks like it crashed. Letter F, I just have a Y with a question mark with my computer.
Rescission of title status classification. Basically, the employee refused the promotion.
Oh, okay. All right, that's any questions I have.
All right.
Right, I have one on page 1, retirements 2. Is that teacher's aide position, is that gonna be replaced?
Yeah.
Is that a need or a want?
It's a need.
Okay. And then the, on page 5, the wrestling coach and volunteer cross-country coach, these are just volunteers then?
Page 5.
Yes.
They're
5 and 6.
They're volunteers.
They're volunteers.
Volunteers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Any others? Okay, all of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item B, swimming pool repairs. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Second. Thank you, Mr. Hippo. Comments or questions?
We did an RFP on the pool, and we had the pool assessed for what it needed. What we've done here is, this is all the items that the building committee approved, plus approximately a $7,000 cushion if there's repairs that need to be done to the Marsite line. And this is a not to exceed number.
And where's this money coming from? Just out of the budgets already?
Capital reserve.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'd like to say, back 4 years ago, we did a $600,000 renovation in that pool area. We got the new air handlers in. I know it's done, them guys are out of here. You'd think someone would have got a broom handle and poked a ceiling towel up and seen that ductwork up there being all rusty. Now we got to replace it and they're done here. What are you gonna do? They're out of here. That's all I got. It should have been taken care of.
Any others for swimming pool repairs? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? capital reserve list of payments. Need a motion? Thank you, Mr. Hippo. Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed?
I'm a no I'm an aye on the line painting only.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, and the mansion park tennis courts also. I'm an aye. I'm a no on the administration side.
Okay, and you guys are nays on, okay.
Yeah.
I'm a nay on both, too.
Okay, so Mr. Francis, Mrs. Brady, Mr. Johnson are nays on both, and Mr. Cruz has already specified his. Let me know when you guys get that. Thank you, ma'am. Motion carries. Item D, capital projects list of payments. Thank you, Mr. Hippo.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed? So that would be Mrs. Breen, Mr. Francis, Mr. Johnston, and Mr. Cruz. And the motion carries. Item E, change orders. I need a motion. Thank you, Mr. Hippo. Second. Thank you, Mr. Hoover.
Excuse me for a second.
Yes, by all means.
A couple of changes to what's on the agenda.
Yeah.
Change order number 73, we're going to avoid that. I was able to negotiate that away this afternoon. 73, that off the table. And then on change order 80, we found to reroute the main for Farfield Electric. That number so far has been revised to $5,216, $5,216 down from the 99 number.
Was that because of the 15th Street? 15th?
Part of that, and then part of it was the road patching, which we're still working on, expect that to go more through that, still kind of review the progress.
Got it.
So just so your agenda is correct with what's actually going out tonight.
These were all not to exceed.
Yes.
Not to exceed anyway.
Yes.
What about 81 doesn't have a numbering, is that?
We discussed that, but that will be on December's agenda.
Oh, that's on, okay. Thank you.
Is that all?
Unless you have questions.
No, I'm good. So we'll have to revise the motion, correct?
I'll revise my motion with like those change numbers.
Okay, and
I'll second it.
okay. All right, any comments or questions?
Keep doing that.
Try.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No.
So Mr. Francis, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Cruz, and Mrs. Green. And the motion carries. So, AAJHS Terrazzo repairs. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Thank you, Mr. Hippo. Comments or questions?
You know, so this was done before, a few years back. Is this gonna be a forever project down the road?
Depends on,
Could be.
depends on the heaving and the shifting of the
Still
building.
different spots, but it's the same type of conditions that we're seeing.
Okay, so can you explain it to me, because I wasn't here?
The terrazzo is a little thin layer that's poured on top of the concrete. It's coming off of the concrete in either like this, and you'll get a metal seam, there's like a metal bead in between it that will pour. It'll come up and it'll create a tripping hazard. Another way that it's coming up over by the gyms over there is that the floor is actually kind of bulging up, and it's in a bad spot, it's right at the base of the stairs at the gym. So it's a tripping hazard. So those are the conditions that we have to correct. It's not that it's breaking apart, right? It's only those couple of conditions. But they're scattered throughout, so 17, 18 spots, something like that.
And they're heaved up, so I mean, when you go to walk on them, obviously, as you're walking down the hallway or coming off a, a step or something like that, it's not level, so therefore it creates a hazard for either tripping or falling something.
I don't know.
Not to exceed
just add to Doug, whenever they do that, they have a company that matches it up pretty close to perfect. And on top of that, the other question was asked during that discussion was, does the concrete underneath change? The concrete's not heaving, it's just that top layer. So I just thought I'd share that.
What's an alternative for that? Carpet? Tile?
I don't think you wanna remove all the terrazzo.
I wouldn't say remove it.
Well, if you put anything over top of it, and it's gonna continue to lift it and disrupt whatever's on top of it. It'll disrupt carpet, it'll disrupt tile.
When they did that, is there expansion joints in there for that, for?
There are some with regard to the slab, which they're wider. Then there's only the little metal strips in between. How far they apart, I don't have.
Well, this seems like it's gonna be a forever, perhaps we should look at some other alternative, because it's gonna be kind of costly.
This is the 11th year the school's been in operation. And this is the second time that we've addressed this. I think the first time was around 12,000.
Perhaps that's what we can look into for a physical plan meeting. Maybe we can go down there and take a look at it and see what's going on. I'd like to take a look at it.
You have to balance with the terrazzo, you have to balance the cost of removing it and replacing it with LCP, or VCT vinyl composite tile. And to remove it, you're gonna labor it out and you're gonna put tile in. These are smaller repairs. There's gonna reach a point if we have $100,000 in repairs, say in 30 years, it's gonna balance out replacing it and putting VCT down. At this stage of the game, I don't think we're even close to that tipping point on the tile to terrazzo.
And this firm does do a nice job of matching it so that it's pretty correct.
You would barely know the one at the bottom, the base of the gym area. The only difference is that with the wax, when they waxed over top of it, you might see a slight discoloration, but then after a couple of waxing, then you won't see it.
Okay. So, let's see here, back to the terrazzo repairs. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Aye. Mr. Johnson opposes, motion carries. So we have some for information only items. I'm not going to go through these item by item. So if anybody does have any questions or concerns about any of these, go ahead and chime in. Okay, seeing none. We'll go ahead and move on to other comments. Solicitor?
No report this evening.
Thank you, ma'am. Employee union's response? Okay, not seeing any. Middle management?
Just real brief, this is Brandon Lytle, is a third-party administrator for our CDL drivers for drug testing.
Okay, so it's not helpful.
It is not helpful, it's our, for our CDL drivers. They're a third-party administrator that we utilize for CDL.
Okay.
Sorry about that, not having that.
That's okay. That's fine.
Okay. That brings us to the close. Oh, yes, ma'am.
I have something for old business. At our last meeting, someone had requested a breakdown of the athletics bid that we voted on, and we did receive it. And what I'm finding here is mostly all clothes, and it looks like it's like individual shirts, individual jackets, individual sweatpants, not for a whole team, but for an individual. What are we buying these clothes for? I mean, the total comes to $5,470. That's a lot of money. And what's it being used for?
Go ahead.
Those are uniforms. So although they're listed as individuals, this is like the baseball jerseys.
But how many baseball jerseys did you buy? That's not very many baseball.
I can give you that detail.
Okay.
But it is for teams, it's primarily for the junior high school players.
I can throw in on that, just from previous discussions with Bill and athletic councils, that we don't always buy an entire team's worth of material at a time. Like football helmets, for example, he'll replace a chunk of football helmets at a time.
I understand that, yes.
So some of the others are like on an as-needed basis.
But buying 2 jackets,
Right, if you get 2 jackets that ended up getting holes in, or, getting torn up or whatever it is.
yeah, I would like to know that. Anything after that?
I got a T-shirt.
That's why I'm wondering.
We're gonna ask just general questions right now or not?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is kind of for Dr. Freestyle, but if we're gonna put a bond in the new school, if we're gonna borrow a loan now instead of using 25 of our own money, we're gonna have 25 million of our own money. Is that gonna affect what the taxpayers are gonna pay? Like before you saying $7 a household, is that gonna increase, or do you have a pay schedule on that based off of borrowing all the money instead of using our own money?
Well, Sue can talk about this in better depth than I can, but one of the purposes of keeping the 25 million was the fact that with the interest rates where they are, as long as we are over 2.4%, we will gain enough off of our 25 million plus our other fund balance to negate the cost or the interest expense of the extra bonds.
So you're saying it will stay the same for the taxpayer?
Yes.
Wait a minute, I'm confused. We're making what'd you say, 2.5%?
You have 2.5%, but you have $50 million
And we're
in
paying,
fund balance.
we're paying 4%.
You're paying 4%.
So you're losing on every dollar.
When you look at amortizing it out, we're given this structure over the life of the loan. If interest rates stay up, we will make interest to cover what our expense is. Right now, we're at 2.8, 2.7.
If you're paying 4 and you're only receiving 2.8, you're not gonna pay 4.
Well, you have to understand, also, we're doing an $88 million project for $83 million worth of bonds, because we're also using those bonds and investing them now, and we're generating more additional funds to cover the cost and to bring the overall impact of the taxpayer down. Mr. McShane went into this in great detail about the fact that when this is all said and done, you might not have the $25 million left, but you'll have use of that $25 million over the course of the life of the loan, and the impact, and as long as we're getting at least 2.4%, the amortization is going to eliminate any negative impact from doing the bonds with extra 25 million.
It can't. If you're making 2.4% and you're paying out 4%, you're losing money.
I would be glad to bring Mr. Shane back to walk everyone through that.
I'd be
again.
glad to ask Mr. McShane some more questions, because he seemed to want to get out of our last meeting real quick.
No, I was just going to comment that I do think it's a good idea to bring Mr. McShane in, because I sat and played 20 questions with him afterwards about that exact topic. And in a nutshell, what it has to do with is how much money you have at a given time, how it gets invested, and the trend for the percentages, where the percentage that we get back for having it in the bank essentially can come up and meet the percentage that we can drop things back to. In 6 years, I think they become callable. So in 6 years, they become callable, and at that point in time, we'll have our AA rating, so we could stand to get a better percentage off of those as well.
That's if maybe, but what the reality is, if you're making 2.4% and paying 4% to get that, you're losing money.
You're saving $5 million on what you get from the sale of bonds too.
Well, he's making money on the sale of the bonds, that's why he wanted to rush and get them for you.
You save $5 million for doing that money.
No.
88, 83.
All right, go ahead, sir.
I don't even know where to ask this question, so I'm gonna ask it here. So students who participate in athletics, in the fall athletics, like volleyball and probably basketball maybe, willing shirts, basketball, soccer. Is there a way we could have a waiver that they don't have to be part of the marching band? Right now, they have to, if they want to be in the band, they have to be in the marching band and the concert band, I guess. The marching band interferes with sports. If they go to the marching band, I know you say it doesn't happen, but I've witnessed it. They are punished when it comes back to sports time. So, I mean, basically, the only way you could eliminate or skip being in the marching band is if you're part of the sports. So that's something we can look into. Who do I talk to about that? Well, they changed the time Thursday, so I probably won't be able.
First off, the reason, there are several things that, with the marching band / concert band, they do football games and they have one evening practice a week, I believe. Is that correct? That's one evening practice a week, maybe two. And I know that there's a lot of flexibility on the part of Mr. Detweiler to make sure those kids can do what they need to do. And I know he has not penalized them for missing practice, etc., for doing sports events and practices.
I'm not saying him, it's the other way around. They go to the marching part of it, and then when they get back to their sport.
Then I think I need to talk to Phil if I explain that to the coaches, not to be penalizing the kids.
And I will make certain that's what Thursday.
I mean, all it was brought to me by the parents is, listen, if a child is in sports, why can't they waive the marching band part of that?
But the marching band's not causing the problem here.
Well, if they go to marching, right, it is, if they go to marching band.
That's what I'm saying.
But you can say you're gonna adjust it, but the coach is still gonna handle it correctly.
Mr. Cruz, if I may, the reason to make sure that all the students are in the marching band is obviously because marching band isn't always the most, should I say, desirable part of the game for some students. So that's why right, and I'll address that part of your question. If you have examples of that, Mr. Riccio and myself will address it absolutely. If you're seeing that.
I'll talk to the two people and I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know. Phil and I will look into it.
Because that's why I said, only if you're in sports, do you get a waiver from marching band. Other than that, you have to do marching band, because I know that people don't like to do marching band, I guess.
Some.
So they're forced to do it if they want to be in the band. What I'm saying is, if you're part of a sporting event, then you can skip the marching band part, would be the only way.
And I want to correct what I said, excuse me. I'll definitely bring up the issue. I'm certain I agree with your proposed solution, but I'll make certain that's discussed on Thursday. And you can do it Thursday?
Yes.
Well, I guess my question is, like, have things drastically changed in that regard over the last 26 years? Because I was a marching band kid and stage band kid and so forth, and I was in sports all year round. So what they did was, like in football season, they obviously couldn't be doing the halftime show whenever I'm on the football field. But during the other sports as well, sometimes you miss a parade in order to make a tournament. Sometimes you end up missing, some sort of track meet or whatever the case is in order to make a parade. I mean, they back then at least, they were really good at just talking it through and saying, okay, we're gonna work with you on this. So, I mean, I don't know if we need something super formalized, but at the same time, I agree that should be the case. We shouldn't penalize kids who want to be in band and want to be in athletics as well.
It's beyond band, it's multiple sports. This is always an issue, whether anyone admits it or not. There's always ongoing pressure on some of the sports that kids year round.
And also, please remember that the music program is it's a co-curricular activity. It's not extracurricular. So therefore, there's a part of, they have class during the day, so they get grade for that, and then they have the extras on top of that that are part of their grade as well. So it's not like an athletic event that is purely extracurricular, it's co-curricular. So that's why there's
That's
the
why I
graded
think
part
this has to come
outside.
down on the coaches, not on the band.
Exactly.
Having experience in this area, it's not an exorbitant commitment to be in the band. outside of school. And so, when it comes down to it, I know Larry's very flexible with this, I would just speak for him. I mean, if the initial was brought to his attention, he was gonna deal with it and make sure the kid wasn't put in the middle. And if we know the incidents that are occurring the other way around, you know, we can have that discussion and take care of it.
Well, I think they went to, is that his name?
Larry, yeah.
And asked him if they could not do marching band because of the spring event, and he said that's not an option.
And to maintain the quality of the band, to maintain the numbers, that isn't an option, and that's a stance we've taken.
Right, that's why I just said, though, that if you're part of the sports, that's the only way you can get away from maybe out of marching. That's fine.
But I don't want to start creating special privileges for any of these sports teams. I think we got one last time out there. So.
All right, so